So what changes can be made to the budget? Well, Council has several options. We can borrow more. The exact amount that we can borrow depends on what our revenue streams are. Without any increase, we can likely make it to 2026 before hitting the debt limit. With the existing proposed increases, and if all 5-year capital projects proceed, debt load will still increase by $42 million. This is in excess of the $9.6 million in debt currently on the books. Reduced financial flexibility reduces grant opportunities, however. The more debt we take on, the reduced financial flexibility we'll have. There will also be limited room for emergencies. We can reduce the start of the PSAB funding requirements. There are no penalties currently if the town does not comply with this standard. However, establishing this fund is sound financial practice. It is likely that it will become a requirement of grants similar to how asset management plans have become. Not at least starting the fund means we didn't learn from past decisions. I have heard that we should have started saving or increasing taxes and user fees earlier, and as noted, if we would have been at the average tax and utility fees of other resort municipalities for the past 20 years, we would have $131 million. User fees can be increased. If all user fees were increased by 50% and there was no reduction in usage, the savings to an average residence would be about $1.86 per month. It is important to note that reviewing fees is on Council's strategic priorities chart and is something that will be looked at hopefully over the next 12 months. The town can be more aggressive with fines. In 2022, the net impact was about $7,400 in fines, and in 2023, it was about double that. With increased fines, there will be increased challenges and legal fees. Being a resort municipality, there is a balance between strict enforcement and maintaining a tourist-friendly community. If fines were doubled, the net savings to a typical home would be about 30 cents per month. Delaying some projects is a possibility. However, many of the projects are must-haves, and simply delaying does not eliminate the cost. Unfortunately, the inflationary cost on capital projects has been significantly more than a typical CPI. If this trend continues, it simply means there will be increased costs to taxpayers and utility users. There are many projects that will already be delayed naturally, as there are many steps along the way to bring a project to completion, such as engineering, request for proposals time, pricing availability of resources, etc. Any one factor can have an impact on project completion. Delaying some projects like pickleball courts could have longer term impacts. Projects such as this may be a featured draw for potential residents. It could also result in tournament play whereby it assists with tourism, especially if tournaments are held in the shoulder season. It is important to note that this project is budgeted for 2025 and will be debated in more depth then. Not maintaining our infrastructure like roads could damage our image as a resort municipality. At some point, tourists will see a rundown, tired community, which will ultimately damage our reputation, which is difficult to correct. Another impact of not repairing things in a timely fashion has the impact of costing taxpayers and utility users more in the long run. For example, if roads are not crack sealed and water penetrates the road foundation, it would require a rebuild rather than a simple repaving. Rebuilds cost approximately $300,000 to $340,000 per residential street, versus simple resurfacing is about half that cost. Increasing fees associated with development is an option and is something the administration is currently working on. Changes are planned to be implemented in 2 phases. One proposed increase will be coming to Council shortly, and a more thorough review will occur over the next 12 to 18 months. Council can reduce the amount attributable to sustainability or reserves. However, there are consequences. Planning projects proactively produces long-term cost savings. For example, if a water pipe is replaced, it would be more economical to align a street repaving project at the same time, rather than patch a 10-foot strip where the pavement was removed. Having flexibility to apply for matching grants makes financial sense. For example, if a grant becomes available for water conservation, which could assist with reducing the town's usage for water in our parks, which was planned 3 years out for repair or replacement, it would likely be advantageous to apply for the grant and move the project up, even if the grant only paid for 50% of the cost. Within the utilities, there's a significant amount of infrastructure beyond its expected life. We will need to adjust the plan over the next 20 years, as it is highly likely that some pipes will require replacement prior to the planned date and year of its replacement. Council could extend the property tax and utility payment deadline, which would provide additional time to save for the increase. There is a need to increase the taxes and utilities. The exact amount will still fluctuate over time, but the evidence is clear that increases are required. Delaying the increases will end up costing more. Unfortunately, there are few true budget savings, only costly deferrals. Extending the payment deadline on a portion of the utility and/or property tax bill to something like September, November, or December impacts the town's bottom line marginally, but could be a compromise to those that require additional time. The benefit is that the project could start to be planned and the community would start to see improvements sooner rather than later.